It was the kind of house that dreams are made of. A beautiful Dutch colonial, stately and proud, nestled on a tree-lined street in Westfield, New Jersey. The address was 657 Boulevard. For Derek and Maria Broaddus, it was more than just a house. It was a symbol, a culmination of years of hard work, a place where they would raise their 3 young children. They had imagined laughter echoing through its 6 bedrooms. They pictured summer barbecues in the spacious backyard. This was their forever home, the one they had been searching for. It felt perfect, almost too perfect. But something else, something unseen, was waiting there too. A darkness that had been watching. Just 3 days after closing on their new home, Derek Broaddus went to check the mail. He was at the house overseeing some of the renovation work. The mailbox held the usual collection of junk mail, maybe a bill or two. But then he saw it, a thick, white cardstock envelope. It was addressed in clunky, handwritten letters to the new owner. There was no return address. Odd, perhaps, but not necessarily alarming. He opened it, curious about what it might contain. It was neither. The words inside would chill him to the bone. Dearest new neighbor at 657 Boulevard, it started. Allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. But the tone quickly shifted. It became possessive, almost proprietary. The writer claimed that their family had been watching the house for decades. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s. My father watched in the 1960s. It is now my time. The words were unsettling. The author seemed to believe they had some sort of ancestral claim to the act of watching it, a strange and unnerving inheritance. The letter grew more personal, more menacing. The writer mentioned the Broaddus's extensive renovations. I see already that you have flooded 657 Boulevard with contractors so that you can destroy the house as it was supposed to be. The letter mentioned the Broaddus children. It referred to them as young blood. Once I know their names, I will call to them and draw them to me. The letters did more than just frighten the Broaddus family. They began to unravel their sense of security, their peace of mind. The dream of 657 Boulevard was dead. In its place stood a monument to their fear. Maria, in particular, was consumed by anxiety. The watcher's specific focus on her children haunted her every waking moment. The nicknames, the references to their young blood, the chilling suggestion of drawing them near. These were not the words of a simple prankster. They felt like the promises of a predator. Every creak of the floorboards in their temporary rental home, every shadow that flickered past a window, was a potential sign that the watcher had found them. Sleep offered little escape. The family was plagued by nightmares. As the fear solidified into a permanent state of being, the Broaddus family's focus shifted from hope to defense. They were under siege, and 657 Boulevard was enemy territory. Derek became obsessed with protecting his family. He spent countless hours at the house, not to oversee renovations, but just to stand guard. He would sit in the dark, watching the street, hoping to catch a glimpse of the person who was terrorizing them. He installed a state-of-the-art security system, multiple cameras, alarms. The house, which was once intended to be open and welcoming, was now being turned into a fortress. But how do you build a defense against a ghost? The paranoia, it just seeped into their interactions with everyone. Every neighbor was a potential suspect. Trust was a luxury they could no longer afford. With the arrival of the second, more detailed letter, the Broaddus family knew they could not handle this alone. They went back to the Westfield Police Department. The police launched a formal investigation, led by the Detective Bureau. The letters were sent for forensic analysis. Investigators hoped to find DNA. They hoped to find fingerprints. The envelope was examined, the very paper was examined. The focus turned to the immediate neighborhood. Detectives went door to door on Boulevard. They asked if anyone had seen anything suspicious. They asked if anyone knew someone obsessed with the house at 657. The previous owners, the Woods family, were questioned. They said they'd received one odd letter just days before moving out. They had thrown it away. As the investigation unfolded, a cast of characters emerged from the shadows, each one briefly holding the title of prime suspect before fading back into the realm of theory. The most prominent early suspects were the Langford family. They lived next door to 657 Boulevard. The patriarch, Michael Langford, was an elderly man whose family had lived in the area for decades. Police brought Michael Langford in for questioning. He denied any involvement. Without any concrete evidence linking them to the letters, no handwriting match, no DNA link, nothing held. The suspicion cast a dark cloud over the neighboring home, but it brought the Broaddeuces no closer to the truth. The investigation then turned to other possibilities. Could it have been someone who lost a bid to buy the house? Another theory focused on a man who lived across the street. His car was sometimes seen idling, pointed towards 657 Boulevard. It was a tangled web of connections, but like all the others, it was purely circumstantial. There was no smoking gun. One disturbing theory: someone living inside the walls. They searched every crawlspace and closet. They found nothing. With the official investigations failing to produce a concrete suspect, private investigations also came up empty. And the field of theories widened, branching into speculative and even outlandish territory. One theory gained traction. The Broaddus family wrote the letters. Motive: to get out of a house purchase they could no longer afford. They were being accused of orchestrating their own torment. There was absolutely no evidence. Those close to the family attested to their genuine terror and financial ruin. Another theory pointed to a disgruntled former employee, a housekeeper, a handyman. The internet had its own ideas. Amateur sleuths and forums dissected every detail. Theories ranged from a mentally disturbed individual with an obsession to a complex neighborhood conspiracy. Some blamed teenagers playing a prank that spiraled out of control. Others suspected a real estate competitor trying to devalue the property. The Watcher became less of a person and more of a myth. The simplest theory: the Watcher was exactly who they claimed to be. A person. Someone walking the same streets as the Broaddus family. After months of living in a state of suspended terror, the Broaddus family made a painful decision. They could not move into 657 Boulevard. The house was no longer a dream. It was a source of trauma. The thought of their children playing in a yard watched by a malevolent stranger, or children sleeping in rooms a stalker had threatened to haunt. The psychological damage was done. The Watcher had won. The family officially gave up on their dream home. They had never spent a single night in it. They put it back on the market. But the story of the Watcher was now public. Buyers would be told about the letters. There were no takers. They tried to sell to a developer who planned to tear it down and split the lot. But the Westfield Planning Board rejected the plan to preserve neighborhood character. Financially and emotionally exhausted, they found a temporary solution. In 2017, a family agreed to rent the house. For a time, there was silence. Today is October 1st, 2025. More than a decade has passed since the first letter arrived in the mailbox at 657 Boulevard. The case of the Watcher of Westfield remains officially unsolved. No arrests have ever been made. No one has ever been charged. The identity of the person who terrorized the Broaddus family is still a complete mystery. The file at the Westfield Police Department remains open, but it is cold. Very cold. The letters have stopped, or at least no new ones have been publicly reported. The house now has new owners who have, so far, lived in peace. But the silence doesn't provide answers. It only deepens the enigma. For the Broaddus family, it is a story of personal trauma, financial ruin, and profound psychological distress. Their dream was publicly dismantled, and they were forced to live through a horror story that captivated the nation. They have since tried to move on, to rebuild their lives away from the glare of the media and the shadow of the house. And somewhere, perhaps nearby, the Watcher may still be watching, waiting.